When it comes to farming in Path of Exile, I have two major complaints that I want to rant about. Firstly, many Path of Exile's content creators who are supposed to educate the general player base are instead misleading them by providing unrealistic results for their farming methods. They use stash tabs value trackers such as Wealthy Exile to calculate the value of everything that they have collected during the farm and quote that value as the profit per hour. This made the farming strategy sounds way better than it actually is, and in turn would attract more views and engagements to their content. The second issues I want to address is with GGG for how they implemented the scarab system. There are some really powerful scarabs that are the crucial elements of some very profitable farming strategies, but their drop rates are extremely rare, coupled with high demand, causing the prices to skyrocket. As a result, these farming strategies have become inaccessible for players who do not already have a large amount of currency, or at the very least, become a risky investment if the strategy does not generate enough return to cover the cost. So, I decided to start my own experiment to test out how well the farming strategies would fare without the super expensive scarabs. I will be running 40 maps to test out the low investment version of popular farming strategies, namely Strongbox, Harvest, and Essences. For Strongbox, I will not be using the Ambush Scarab of Containment, which currently costs half a Divine each. And for Harvest, no Harvest Scarab of Cornucopia, currently priced at 0.2 Divine each, and no Essence Scarab of Calcification for Essence Farming, also at 0.2 Divine each. I will also be optimizing each of the farming strategies to my best abilities while keeping the cost below 30 chaos per map. All the farming strategies I use will be linked in the description below in case any of you would like to follow them. So, without further ado, let's get into our first low-cost strategy of the day, Strongbox farming. The Strongbox strategy that we are going to use is a simple one. On the Atlas passive tree, we take all Strongbox nodes as the core and add red altars, map drops, scarabs, Nico, and devoted modifiers nodes to complement the Strongboxes. Red or blue altars are both equally viable, so it depends on which is more comfortable for your build. You can search the PoE wiki for the altars modifiers to decide on that. Altars are good for this strategy because the extra quantity, quality, and currency conversion effects will be amplified by having many Strongboxes on your map. This is the same reason why we are taking devoted modifiers effect increase as well. We take map drops to increase the chance of dropping T17 maps while farming for T16 maps to sell in bulk. On the scarab nodes, we block the low value scarabs from dropping, but do not have quite enough points to increase the chance of the higher value ones, but this should be good enough. Lastly, we are taking Nico for this specific node here for the chance that the Doom Spirit will spawn an additional Strongbox when we click on a Sulfite Vein. For the scarabs, we are using 2 Ambush Scarabs to add 10 additional Strongboxes to the map, Ambush Scarab of Hidden Compartments for the chance of Strongboxes to be openable again, and Ambush Scarab of Discernment to increase the chance of getting good Strongboxes like the Arcanist, Cartography, and Divination Strongboxes. We also use Ambush on the map device for even more Strongboxes. I ran the strategy on dunes because I like the open layout and the chance to drop the Fortunate Divination card for some extra Divine Orbs. As this strategy benefits from having good quantity and quality on our maps, I chiseled, alked, and scoured the maps until I hit at least 80% quantity with mods that I can run. While running the maps, simply open and clear the Strongboxes, click on any altars that give good rewards and won't kill you, and that's about it. It is also important to mention that this strategy is quite demanding on your build due to the increased difficulty from having a high quantity map, plus Lantern of Arimor mechanic and Strongbox modifiers. So, you may want to test out this strategy in one map first before investing into buying the resources in bulk. With all the background information out of the way, let's talk about the cost and profit. All the prices and chaos to divine conversion rates in this video are snapshots from when I was doing the farm. So they could be quite different from today's market prices, so just bear that in mind. The map itself costs 3 chaos when bought in bulk, and chiseling, alking and scouring to 80% quantity will on average cost around another 3.5 chaos. The scarabs used are actually quite cheap. 4 of them combined only cost 7.5 chaos. We then add another 7 chaos for using the map device, bringing the total to 21 chaos per map. On the profit side of things, I will only include items that I will actually be selling. For example, I'm ignoring anything with a total value of less than 20 chaos because in my opinion, they are just not worth the time to sell. After 40 maps, we got 5 raw divines drop. We then have around 8.1 divines worth of valuable divination cards, around 3 divines from the Dunes maps, around 1 divine from T17 maps, and a bit more than 2 divines worth of valuable scarabs. Other than that, we have some chaos, alteration orbs, eldritch currency from the altars, and high value of flame embers. That brings the total profit to 25.4 divines after farming 40 maps. We then subtract the cost of 40 maps and dividing it by the total time it took to run the maps. The profit per hour for this farming strategy ends up being 5.3 divines per hour. To demonstrate the type of misleading information from other content creators, if I simply dump everything I picked up from the farm into Wealthy Exile, the total value of all the loot actually adds up to 42.4 divines. And that will turn this farm into a 10.1 divines per hour strategy after subtracting the cost. So I will just let that sink in for a moment. Next, we will move on to Harvest. Before I start explaining the strategy, I want to mention that this farm is actually going to be even more demanding on your build than the Strongbox strategy. For Harvest, map quantity is everything. So, in our Atlas passive tree, apart from taking all the Harvest nodes, we also invest fully in the Eater of Worlds or Blue Altars because they provide more quantity than the Red Altars. What makes this strategy dangerous is that we will be taking all of the map modifier effect nodes, which will make every modifier more potent but also give us more map quantity. Other than that, we take all map quantity nodes that we can find, and the rest is relatively unimportant. I simply take Nico for the pack with energy buff and some map drop nodes. And if you think we would have enough quantity at this point, think again. Because we are also going to buy some 8 mod maps from the TFT Discord for even more quantity, but this will also make the farm even spicier. We are running the strategy in Jungle Valley because it has the unique property that Eldritch Altars will not have any modifiers that affect the boss. This significantly increases our chance of getting useful modifiers such as quantity increase or currency conversion. We can afford to spend a lot of money on maps because the rest of the strategy is going to be quite cheap to put together. The next most expensive piece is the Harvest Scarab of Doubling, which costs 6 chaos. It doubles the life force drop in your maps, but also doubles the life of Harvest mobs. Our next objective is to increase the pack size of influence mobs in the map, so there is a higher chance for the altars to spawn. We will be using the Influencing Scarab of Hordes to do exactly that, as well as the Scarab of Monstrous Lineage, which increase the pack size of magic monsters. Both of these cost 1 chaos or less. For the last slot, we simply use a Sacrifice Fragment for, you guessed it, more map quantity. This costs next to nothing at all. You can get 6 of them for 1 chaos, so I won't even add it to the calculation. Then on the map device, we simply take the 8% quantity increase option, which is free. All these add up to 27.75 chaos per map to run. I also took the opportunity to test out two different ways to farm harvest, with crop rotation and without crop rotation. I started with no crop rotation, and after running 20 maps, I made 8.2 divines worth of life force. I then switched to crop rotation for the next 20 maps. The earnings actually increased to 9.7 divines if we consider only the life force. So it seems crop rotation is actually the superior way to farm harvest. Other than life force, you can also expect to get a significant number of T16 maps and Eldritch currency that will sell for quite a bit. The rest of the loot is the typical random drops that you can expect from farming maps, such as raw divines, valuable ore flames, scarabs, T17 maps, divine cards, and so on. After adding everything up and subtracting the cost, this turns out to be a 5.2 divines per hour farm. This can be slightly higher if we run all 40 maps with crop rotation, but it should be around the same ballpark. For the last farming strategy, we have essence farming plus Alva incursion. We are combining these two farming methods because of their strong synergy in low tier maps. As far as I'm aware, essences drop in maps do not scale off anything. However, GGG implemented a new change in this league, such that the highest tier essences can only drop from yellow maps and above. This is why we are farming in tier 6 maps for this strategy, specifically the Arid Lake map, simply because I like its open layout. The Atlas passive tree for this one is extremely simple. We just need to take every single one of the essences and incursion nodes. For my farm, I also spec fully into scarabs, but because the map tier is so low, absolutely no rare scarabs drop at all over the 40 maps that I farm. The best additional option to add to your Atlas tree is actually bestiary, but I'm just too lazy to itemize and sell the beast. If you are willing to go through the hassle, this farming strategy should become significantly more profitable with that. Other than being a very chill and easy farm, this strategy is also extremely cheap to put together. The hardest thing is actually to get the maps themselves, as not many people are selling tier 6 maps in bulk. But I was able to gather 40 maps from the trade website at 6 chaos each in just 4 or 5 trades, so it's actually not that bad. Other than that, we simply need 3 essence scarabs at 1 chaos each. This will spawn 6 additional essences in our map, and also 1 essence scarab of Ascend to bump all essences found in our map to a tier higher. This is also 1 chaos. We also add essences on the map device for 3 chaos, and that's it. All in all, the total cost per map is only 13 chaos. To run the map, simply clear all the essences in the map and then kill the map boss. While doing that, you will also be building a good Alva temple to sell on the side by interacting with the incursion mechanic. As the incursion mechanics are going to take a while to explain, I will not be covering them in this video. In summary, you are trying to build a temple that has either a locus of corruption or Doriani's Institute connected to the entrance. If you are interested in a video that explains how to do that in detail, just let me know in the comments. After 40 maps, I managed to farm up 16 divines worth of essences, but I'm getting 0 divines in my bank. This is because there are so many different essences in the game that I simply did not gather enough of any one type with a large enough stack to sell for 1 divine. So, if you are looking to get rich fast, this strategy might not be for you. But if you are willing to grind through 100 or maybe 200 maps, you will be able to sell off most of the essences that you have gathered, except maybe 25% of them left in smaller stack size. So I'm applying a 25% discount on the value of the essences as a rough estimate. The temple themselves can be sold quite quickly, totaling up to 6.25 divines. Combining all of the above and minus the cost, we are looking at a 5.6 divines per hour farm. Finally, if we compare the divine per hour of each farming strategy side by side, surprisingly, all of them are very close to each other at around the 5 divines per hour mark. If we were to choose a winner purely based on divine per hour, Essences plus Alva takes the crown, but with the downside that the return on investment period is longer than other farming strategies. However, if you ask me which farming strategy that I'm currently using, after knowing all this information, I'm actually doing harvest with crop rotation, which is the lowest divine per hour strategy on this list. I simply find it to be the strategy that is the most fun for me. I like strategizing on how to maximize my yield through crop rotation and the massive surge of dopamine when I finally get a gigantic crop that drops tons of life force. And I'm glad that I did this experiment because now I can take comfort in knowing that regardless of which low investment farming strategy that I choose, I will be making a similar amount of profit per hour. This allows me to freely choose the one that I enjoy the most without the fear of missing out. I'm planning to also test out the higher investment farming strategies next to see if the profit per hour is significantly higher than the budget methods. If you are interested in that or other similar content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if the video helped you in any way, please give it a like. It will mean the world to me. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.